So we are right now approaching Ramadan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. And worship your Lord until certainty comes to you. And certainty is nothing but death. So, what are the different alternatives that you and I have ahead of us right now when it comes to our life related to Ramadan? Number one, that we don't catch Ramadan. That some of us do not catch Ramadan. Number two, that we catch Ramadan and this will be our final Ramadan. Number three, that we catch Ramadan and there will be other Ramadans coming. May I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us life and to catch Ramadan and to catch many other Ramadans, right? So, how can we apply إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ in each of the three situations? Now we have been learning the knowledge. I want us here to brainstorm together. How can we apply this knowledge? First and foremost, what did we learn? We learned that إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ means you are only worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not worshiping your desires. You are not worshiping shaitan. You are not worshiping anyone else. You have lots of people that you may be emotionally attached to. However, you worship Allah alone. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. Say, O Muhammad, addressing the Prophet ﷺ, صلاتي ونسكي, my prayers and all my acts of worship, ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. And my life and my death, all of them belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ means you are not following your own desires. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً فَمَنْ يَهْدِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Have you seen that person who has elevated his desires to become his Lord? And Allah did misguide him, although he had knowledge. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. Allah put a whole veil and a lock on his hearing so he can't hear, and on his heart so he can't feel. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. And Allah put a veil in front of his sight so he can't see either. So although he had knowledge, he can't hear, he can't feel, he can't see. فَمَنْ يَهْدِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. So who shall guide him after Allah misguided him? Why? Because he decided to elevate his desires to become as if they are his Lord. That's the opposite of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. Because إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ means my entire life is centered around you, O Allah. My entire, whatever pleases me, is centered around you, O Allah. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. None of you would be a true believer until whatever pleases him, whatever makes him happy, is 100% following what was revealed upon me. That's the Prophet ﷺ saying. All of this is under إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ means I recognize, O Allah, that I cannot actually be a true worshipper. I cannot achieve that true level of a worshipper to you, O Allah, except by you. So I worship you by you, O Allah, by your will and by your strength. I cannot actually, I'm not doing it because I want it. I'm doing it, or I'm capable of doing it because you want me to do so, O Allah. Because I'm showing you some little goodness, but you are the generous. You are the most generous. So إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ means اسْتَعَنْتُ بِكَ عَلَى عِبَادَتِكَ يَا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I seek your dependence and your strength and your power to allow me to worship you, O Allah. Means I'm not going to worship you except going on the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ. I would not invent a new way to worship you, O Allah. I will worship you based on what we know for a fact that will please you, O Allah. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبُكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, if you truly love Allah, then follow me. Allah would love you and would forgive your sins. Wallahu ghafurur rahim. I hope that it's not a long intro, and I hope that you are following me. I'm just trying to recap what we have studied over the past few weeks. And then finally, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. If you know that you are here to worship Him only, He is Ar-Rabb and He is Al-Ilah, He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and He is the only deity that is worth of worshiping. If you know that you cannot worship Him except with His will and His strength to make you capable of worshiping Him, then you need to raise your hands and seek His straight path. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. So you need to always, constantly ask Him to guide you to the straight path. The straight path, as Ibn al-Qayyim tells us, the straight path is the path of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions that are guided after the Prophet ﷺ. Those who are going on the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ. The path of following the Quran and the Sunnah. You can't follow Quran only, you can't follow the Sunnah only. Now, with this entire introduction, and I hope that you are following me so far. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending us an incentive or a great prize, which is Ramadan. A month that has been orchestrated in order for you to be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best way possible. And in order for you to realign yourself to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in light of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمُ. Let's say you don't catch Ramadan. What would be the situation? Every day, subhanAllah, over the past few weeks, every day in every masjid, we are almost praying almost like janazah every day. So, what is the resolution here? How can we cope with this problem if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's say by tomorrow, like Asr time, which is Ramadan officially will start, if we are going with calculations, it will start Maghrib time. Let's say your life will end by this time. What will you do? Then you need to set your intention now. Then it's a timely manner to set your intention, or a mandatory immediate action that you and I would need to do, that we are to set our intention that this Ramadan will be our best Ramadan ever, or at least we will strive to make this Ramadan our best Ramadan ever. And we will strive to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best way possible in Ramadan. We will strive to give up all of the bad habits. We will strive to give up whatever displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever we know for a fact that is not getting us close to Ramadan subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will strive to seize Ramadan, to benefit from Ramadan, to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Set your intention now. Because if for whatever reason Allah is not granting you Ramadan, at least Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be treating you based on your intention. And Allah is the most generous. That's number one. Number two, assuming that we are going through Ramadan, but after the fact, you are not destined to catch the following Ramadan, which again, each and every one of us, doesn't matter which age you are at, each and every one of us can be in this situation. What is the actual action here? Put in your effort and don't take Ramadan for granted. Understand that every moment, I wouldn't say even every day, every moment passing by in Ramadan is a prize from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallah, it's not because you are good or not because I'm good. It's because Allah is generous. Because you are bad and I'm bad. All of us, كل ابن آدم خطاء. All of human beings are sinful. So it's not because we are good. Qarun is the one who used to say, قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي. Whatever bounties that I got it because I'm smart. But here, when we are talking about you catching Ramadan, every moment in Ramadan, every prayer in Ramadan, every day in Ramadan, you are not capable of fasting because you are good. You are capable of fasting because Allah is generous. So don't take it for granted. Every day, strive and do your best and remind yourself that life is short. Because even within Ramadan itself, if you are to catch Ramadan, you don't know whether you will catch Laylatul Qadr or not. Right? So always try to live إياك نعبد. I'm worshiping you only, O Allah. And I'm seeking refuge in you. I'm depending on you to worship you, O Allah. Hence, guide me the straight path. Live it. Live إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. But then, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is granting you the blessing of passing through Ramadan, and Allah did grant you few moments that you feel or you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be truthful moments. May Allah make us among those that would be granted truthful moments in Ramadan. That would be granted true moments that when you are between the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the day of judgment, and Allah is asking you, what did you do, my servant, throughout this life? You may say that, oh Allah, I did actually worship you and I recall this moment, oh Allah. So if Allah is granting you to go past Ramadan, then try to do your best to stick to whatever you have learned in Ramadan. Don't make Ramadan a spike, make it a step. Improve yourself and try to stick to it. And remember that the most beloved deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the most consistent, even though they may be small. أحب الأعمال إلى الله أدومها وإن قل. So, live إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم after Ramadan. Because that's the whole essence of Ramadan. The whole essence of Ramadan is to allow you to stick to the right path post-Ramadan. It's not in Ramadan itself. Yes, Ramadan itself is a prize and you can get the most in Ramadan. But most importantly, what will you do after Ramadan? Will you return back the very same person that was sinful before Ramadan? Or you will see some sort of an improvement after Ramadan? And finally, when you are cruising through your life, you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you these steps. Because every Ramadan needs to be a step on the top, towards the top, a top of the mountain. So that you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make you and I among those people that the best of their deeds are their endings. Because subhanAllah, you don't want to be among those people, and I don't want to be among those people that would live their life on the path of obedience and suddenly they would flip and Allah would take their soul while they are on the path of disobedience. May Allah protect us all. So, to wrap up, we were going through إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We were going through Madarij al-Salikin. And subhanAllah, before Ramadan, our goal was to understand the merits of Al-Fatiha. And inshallah, you can watch the recordings to go and refresh your memory on the different merits of Al-Fatiha. Inshallah, after Ramadan will have a special schedule. It will be talking about Islah, inshallah. But after Ramadan, inshallah, we will start going through the levels. Remember when we said there are 100 stations that you can elevate yourself through from إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. That's the whole essence of the book. So inshallah, after Ramadan, if Allah grants us life and tawfiq, inshallah, Allah blesses us with the best Ramadan ever, the best Ramadan that we have lived, Ya Allah, the best Ramadan ever that we have lived. And inshallah, after Ramadan, we try to continue cruising through the journey of the stations of the seeker, Madarij al-Salikin. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among those people that will catch Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among those people that will be granted the best Ramadan ever, the Ramadan that will be a witness for them in the day of judgment. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, resurrect us with the Prophet ﷺ in Jannat al-Firdaus. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among those people that will catch the night of power and will be granted to them as the best ever night of power that they have caught ever. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. جزاكم الله خير.